Welcome to your best bets. NFL Week 18, last regular season week. Never had a Week 18 before. It feels like this extra week has provided uh, just a bit more intrigue to what would normally be a 17-week season. As we go into the last week, there's only a few meaningful games on the schedule between COVID issues and guys sitting for rest for the playoffs. Some of these games are impossible to predict, but we're going to give it our best shot. Collin Quinlan is here. Welcome. How are you, sir?
I'm doing just fine. I'm excited to see what this Week 18 of the NFL brings us. First one ever. So hopefully we get to see some good games this weekend, even though not all of them are meaningful. But I think we'll get a few good games in, and hopefully it's a good weekend for football.
Yeah, the last couple of weeks have provided some clarity, but the I feel like the AFC is just it's a bit of a crapshoot right now. I think Tennessee is probably the most disrespected number one seed that I've ever seen. I would imagine almost anyone they might be playing in their first game. And this is, by the way, assuming they beat the Texans and secure the one seed. But I feel like whoever they play in their first game, they might actually be a underdog. What do you think of that team? Do they have legs to really make it to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, that team with Derrick Henry is obviously scary. We haven't seen that team in a long time, so who knows what that team will look like when Derrick Henry actually comes back. Hopefully, they will be that team that we saw, but really, there's no way, to really tell. So, if they're that team that we've been seeing with Derrick Henry, they're obviously going to be a very good team and one that's pretty tough to beat once Derrick Henry gets going. And they got Julio this year too. They'll be a tough team to beat for sure. But especially this year in the NFL with all the parity, who knows what's going to happen. There's been a lot of just inconsistent play, just really unexpected outcomes in games. So I don't know. I think it'll be tough to say right now.
I do think Vrabel's deserving a coach of the year to get this team to where they are without Henry, a large part of the season without AJ Brown. This is the team that's lost to the Texans. This is the team that's lost to the Jets. So imagine where they would be without those two losses. On the other side, the Packers have already wrapped everything up. They really appear to be the team to beat right now in the NFC. The Bucks are reeling a little bit with all the Antonio Brown drama. Dallas is backing up a little bit. The Rams are still a bit of a question mark, and it's really. I know we said it last year as well. It's tough to see anyone going into Green Bay and winning the game, and with their home field advantage.
Yeah, the NFC I think is pretty wide open right now. I do like the Packers. I think they are definitely the toughest team to beat in that division, but I think there's probably a solid 1 through 4 or 5 teams that could come out of the NFC and give one of the AFC teams a good run for their money in the Super Bowl.
Let's get into the games. The first game we're going to talk about is the Colts at the Jaguars. The Colts are a 15.5-point favorite on the road at the hapless Jaguars. Colin, you're a Colts fan. Talk to me a little bit about this team. They're incredibly maddening. I feel like they're one of the 6 or 7 best teams in the whole NFL, but they do this thing where they lose a game they should win. I never saw them losing last week to the Raiders, and Carson Wentz, he's going to be the downfall of this team, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah, I for sure think so. I mean, so far, I've honestly liked what he's done this year. I think he's kept the Colts in positions to win the games. He hasn't necessarily made any terrible plays that hurt them super bad, but I mean, he obviously has that in him to make a super boneheaded play. We've seen a few. I think I don't remember what game he was, but he had tried to shovel it on like the 5 yard line, and I don't know what he was doing. So he's got that in him every now and then. So I think if he just game manages like he kind of needs to, then I think this team's fine. Just give JT the ball and let him run. That's been game plan all year, and it's worked for us. And let that defense play. Last week, I don't really know what happened. Raiders made a good amount of mistakes that we should have capitalized on, but we didn't. So I think not capitalizing on a few turnovers and missed opportunities really hurt us there. And Hunter Renfrow, that dude just torched us. So I don't know. They are inconsistent, but I do think they are one of the top teams in the NFL when they play as up to their capability.
I'm going to respectfully disagree with you about Carson. I feel like it's a few boneheaded plays per game. There's like about one or two left-handed throws a game that I see that it screams Jay Cutler to me. It screams Jay Cutler, where he'll do a lot of brilliant things and then he'll make a couple bonehead plays that are backbreakers. Well, I want to talk about the Raiders later because obviously they play in one of the most meaningful games of the week. But the Colts in this game, trivia question, Collin. When's the last time they won at Jacksonville? Do you know off the top of your head?
I believe it was 2014, correct?
Yes, good job. Nice. Did your research. They haven't won in Jacksonville since 2014. Now, I don't see any way they lose this game, but I am going to be taking the Jaguars to cover the 15.5 at home. Despite you just got to do it. It's gross.
Home dog.
It doesn't feel good, but that's a lot of points. And yeah, the Jaguars just got their ass kicked by the Pats last week. Trevor Lawrence looks to be broken at this point, and they might be worse without Urban Meyer at this point. But it's just you just got to do it, and you'll probably go the other way, and that's understandable. The Colts win the game. Jaguars cover though.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree with you. I have the Colts covering, but yeah, it's obviously a game the Colts have to win, so they're gonna win. But it is a lot of points. I'll give that to you, but I really just don't see the Jags scoring more than 14 points this game. So I think the Colts are going to put up their points, and I don't know if the Jags are going to put up more than 14. So I'm going to take the Colts to cover as well.
All right. Sunday afternoon, 4:25, the 49ers at the Los Angeles Rams. Rams are favored by 4.5 in this game, over under at 44.5. The Niners will again be starting Trey Lance in this game. They beat the Texans last week in a pretty low-scoring, ugly game. Lance looked pretty shaky in the first half. He made a couple plays in the second half. Of course, the Niners really need this game. They win and they're in. The Rams aren't really playing for much here in this game. I guess it's just playoff seeding at this point. But I guess this will clinch the division as well. But what's your take on this game?
When I was doing my research, I wasn't sure if Jimmy G or Lance was starting yet. So now that I know that Lance is starting, I think they're really going to try and control the ball and kind of run the ball, use Elijah Mitchell, and can kind of control the pace of the game to keep the ball in the Rams' hands, just because they have that dynamic offense that has looked kind of shaky lately. But I think they will definitely rather try and keep it a low-scoring, a slow-paced game, just so they can have a better opportunity of winning, especially with Trey starting.
Yeah, I don't think Trey's ready for this situation yet.
No.
Honestly, he just doesn't look NFL ready yet. He's just extremely inaccurate with the ball. He's obviously got tremendous athletic ability, but we know in the NFL that's only half the battle. I love the Rams in this spot. I think their defense has been at least playing better the last few weeks. I know they had a bit of a scare last week at Baltimore, but I just think this is a tough spot for the 49ers with Lance playing quarterback. So I'm going to take the Rams, lay the 4.5, and I think they win by about 10, 13 points, something like that.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I had pretty much the exact same thing.
Consequently, if the 49ers lose, the New Orleans Saints are in a position to take the final playoff spot in the NFC. They are playing at the Atlanta Falcons also at 4:25 Sunday. Saints favored by 3.5 in that game. Over under at 39.5. That is probably the lowest number I've seen this season. This is a tough one to read because the Saints have been objectively terrible, really most of the season. It's kind of hard to understand how they're in this position. They got a really good defense. Offensively, they're not very scary at this point. Taysom Hill is I don't know what he is. I don't really get the Sean Payton fascination with him. What do you think here? Falcons as a home dog in a spot where the Saints got to win.
This was one of the hardest games I had to read as well. I just don't know what to expect out of the Saints offense. I think we know what we're going to get out of Falcons offense. So I think it really just comes down to how Taysom Hill and the Saints offense is going to perform. I think I saw Kyle Pitts is not playing. I don't know if that's correct, but
right.
If he's not playing, I really don't like the Falcons' chances of getting points on the board just because they really don't have anybody outside of Cordell Patterson.
Right.
Oh, he's not even on the team, is it?
Patterson, he'll be playing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Outside of him, I don't think they really have any offensive firepower to even use against a really good Saints defense. So
Mike Davis.
Good old Mike Davis. Yeah. Forgot about him, but. Yeah, I just don't think the Saints are or the Falcons are gonna have enough offensive firepower to win the game. So I like the Saints here just because of their strong defense, and I think they'll be able to do enough on offense to get it done.
I saw some metrics that have Taysom Hill rated as one of the 5 worst quarterbacks in the league. Obviously, the Falcons have a home field advantage in this game. They have a better quarterback. The weapons obviously favor the Saints just because of Kamara. I don't really know if there's any weapon on either side besides Kamara and Patterson you want in this game since Pitts is out. I'm just going to side with the 3.5 with the Falcons. That's that key number. It's going to be a field goal game. Saints may win, but I think it's going to be literally a 3-point game. So I'll take the Falcons to cover in that one. Did I skip a game? What did I skip?
Ravens Steelers.
Oh, Ravens Steelers. Oops. How could I have missed that one? Man, there's some ugly games.
Yeah.
So 1:00 games, Steelers at the Ravens. Ravens favored by 4, over under at 41.5. And this one, both of these teams are still mathematically alive. They need a lot to happen. Obviously, with the Colts, they both need the Colts to lose first and foremost. I don't know if we expect Lamar in this game. I haven't seen the final word on that. Have you?
He didn't practice today, so I'm guessing he's probably not going to go.
Which I think at this point you'd rather see a healthy Tyler Huntley playing anyways, who's really acquitted himself pretty well the last few weeks. The Steelers, it's going to be Ben Roethlisberger's swan song. I'm so happy to see it. It's been really,
get him out of here.
How many completions did he have the other night for like 120 yards? I mean, I've never seen numbers like that. But it's definitely time for him. But the Steelers do have very good defense. Getting 4 points on the road. What you like here?
This was also one of the harder games for me to read just because I don't know what to expect out of really the Ravens, just because they have nobody. All their teams either hurt or out with COVID. So I don't really know what to expect out of the Ravens. And I know what I'm getting out of Big Ben and that offense, and I don't like that at all. So I think I like the Steelers here. I think they're going to play decently hard for Big Ben, as much as I hate to say it, and maybe it's one of his final games. So I think I like the Steelers to win outright here just because I don't know what to expect out of the Ravens in that offense.
I love that play. I think if you're going to take the Steelers +4, it's a good position to take the money line at +160. I'm on board with you here on that one as well. I think I like the Steelers. I think they're going to be emotionally invested in helping Ben win his final game, what appears to be his final game. And I always like Mike Tomlin as an underdog in this position anyways. So I'll take the Steelers as well here, +4. Final game of the regular season, Sunday nights in Las Vegas. Chargers at the Raiders. Chargers favored by 3 here on the road, over under at 49.5. We kind of talked a little bit earlier about the Raiders. I don't think really anyone expected them to win that game last week at Indianapolis, and here they are, the final week of the season, and what's been really just a roller coaster and disaster in some ways this season. And you got to give them credit for being, just to keep battling as long as they have with the head coaching change, with the Henry Ruggs situation. I mean, they've been through a hell of a lot, and here they are.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta respect what they've done so far. They've had a really, really, really rough season, along with all the COVID and stuff and injuries. They've had it rough for sure. So you got to respect what they're doing to even put themselves in a position to make the playoffs. So I'm excited to see what they're gonna do, honestly, because I didn't expect them to win that game in Indy last week either. So I think they're gonna put up a good fight in this game. Not sure if they can win it, but I think they've put themselves in a good position, given themselves some confidence to make some plays and make it a close game for sure.
The Raiders offense with Derek Carr, they just find a way to make plays. I just don't know what to make of Carr. If I've ever bet
I don't
against him,
trust him.
if I've ever bet against him, kind of worried about him. And then if I bet on him, then I'm kind of worried about him as well. Is Waller supposed to be back? I heard there was a chance.
I heard him and Jacobs were both questionable. So them two both hinge on kind of them having a good game. So yeah,
I think
sure.
I think there's just too many unknowns with the Raiders for me to take them here. I would probably lean toward the Chargers -3. That's not a team I trust either. It's the Chargers. For years, it's been the classic thing where, like, man, these guys are so talented. They're starting to get something together, and then they just lay a complete egg. And they did it a few weeks ago. I forget who they were playing, but I think you just got to side with the more talented team. I think the better coach team as well with Staley, even though he's made obviously some questionable decisions this season. So I think I'll ride the Chargers -3 here.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. I don't trust really either of these teams, but I do think the Chargers have a little bit more talent, and for some reason, I trust Justin Herbert a little bit more than Derek Carr. So I'm gonna agree with you and take the Chargers here as well.
The slate on Sunday, as we said, is really uneven with trying to figure out who's playing, who's not, who's resting guys, who's not. With that said, Colin, I got a couple bonus plays. My underdog moneyline parlay. I'm taking the Dolphins moneyline at +210 to beat the Patriots outright. They're 6-point underdogs at home to the Patriots. Patriots traditionally struggle when they go to Miami. They're not going to have a ton to play for. So I'll take the Dolphins there to win, and I'm going to put it with the money line of my Atlanta Falcons at +160. That parlay, those two teams combined would be +706. So I'm going to play that as a bonus play and see how that plays out. But I think the main there's really 3 or 4 games that really even affect the playoff picture. So it's I think everyone's going to have a pretty narrow focus watching on Sunday. Anything else you're looking out for?
Not so much the outcome of a game, but I'm looking for TJ Watt to get that sack record. I think he can get it. What's he need? I think 1.5,
I think
right?
it's 1.5. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he should be able to get that. So I'm looking for him to do that on Sunday. And Do you think there should be an asterisk on that? Even though he's
Yeah,
done in 15, but he needed 18 to do it?
sure. Yeah,
I I personally don't think so. I know injuries are a part of the game, but he only played 15 games technically.
sure.
He
Right.
did need the extra week to technically get it, but
Yeah.
I I don't think there should be because he only took 15 games. So I think if he gets it, I think he should get it outright and no kind of asterisks on that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. There's the history of all these sports with records. Things change. Like the Lakers title in the bubble. Is there going to be an asterisk with that? Probably no. There's not going to be. We people that watched it will know that it was different. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think there's a good chance he gets it. I know Cooper Cup. He's got more of a long shot chance at the receptions record, and we'll see if he gets fed the ball a lot, which I'm sure he will because I expect them to be playing the whole game. Well, Colin, last time you were on, we of course talked about NBA season. We're not quite midway, but we're far enough into the season to kind of have some early takeaways from what we've seen so far. Um, it's pretty interesting to watch the Warriors right now. Um, they're much better than I know you or I thought they would be. We talked about how they could potentially struggle this season, but Curry has played at an MVP level. They've gotten a ton out of guys like your boy Jordan Poole, and all these role players have just stepped up. Guys like Otto Porter, Draymond has shown that he's still really effective as a setup guy. Potential defensive player of the year. They're getting Clay back. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but they're really deep. They got guys like Kaminga and Wiseman's been injured, and they all of a sudden they have tons of talent. And here they are fighting for the 1 seed. Has that surprised you at all?
I mean, I know we had the talk about them having the possibility of being this good, but we also said they could struggle a little bit. So I am kind of surprised that they're playing this well. I did think that they could do it. I didn't necessarily think they would, but I think just all the support they've had from the role players has made a massive difference. I don't think we've seen a team this deep in a while, and it's really shown that it makes a pretty big difference when you have role players that can step in and play just as well as the starters. Yeah, like you said, they have all those guys plus
Well, and
where
like
they
guys like
find Gary Payton.
Gary
Like
Payton and
that dude's balling too.
yeah,
They just seem to find these guys that they can plug in and they'll just play and score and keep the train moving. So I've been really impressed with them. I think they have a really good shot of making a deep run in the playoffs, especially if Clay comes back and even half of what he was, and Wiseman comes back, plays what he was doing. So I think they're set up pretty well right now.
yeah. I mean, they even reformed Andrew Wiggins into.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I mean, I think it speaks to the culture of the team and what Kerr's done the last 6-7 years there. Yeah, Curry is the live favorite for MVP right now. I think it's well deserved, and um, it's pretty unbelievable. I was listening to a discussion on a different podcast about Curry and versus LeBron's legacy at this point, and could Curry have a second act sort of to his career similar to what Tom Brady had? Because Curry has, potentially his game could age well as he gets into his mid to late 30s. Of course, he's going to lose athleticism, but watching him is just like it's like art, and you
Crazy,
can't you
yeah.
can't believe what you're seeing and how he's made these impossibly difficult shots look normal. It's
Mhm.
really incredible, and I think we've taken it for granted in a way. But any other surprises that you've seen on either side, Western Conference, Eastern Conference?
Um, I've been pretty not necessarily surprised, but kind of the same token as the Warriors. I've been kind of surprised to see how the Bulls have performed so well. I know we talked about how they could be a very solid team. I don't really think either of us expected them to play as well as they have. I've really liked what I've seen from DeRozan. He's kind of gone back to his Toronto days. He's looking like the old DeRozan back in Toronto. So I've really liked what I've seen from them. Didn't really think it would turn out this well, but they're all really gelling together and playing really well, which is nice to see.
Yeah, I was wondering how the combination of DeRozan with Levine with Lonzo would work with just one basketball, but those guys seem to play off each other pretty well. DeRozan is pretty good without the ball, good cutter, and pretty remarkable what he did last week with the two game winners back to back.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty incredible. I mean, it's pretty shocking that that's the first time that's been done in back-to-back days like that. But yeah, I agree with you. The Bulls look tough. Um, I think they're definitely a contender in the Eastern Conference for sure. I got to say, I've been surprised by the step the Grizzlies have taken this year. They've been collecting all this young talent for the last couple of years, of course, led by John Morant, but guys like Desmond Bane, who who's become a really, really solid player. Jaren Jackson is a bit up and down, but Steven Adams having just that veteran presence in there, the inside defensive presence has really helped that team. But they're deep. Ja is playing at an MVP level as well. He's probably not going to win it, but he's now a top 12 guy in the league for sure. And the team's if the playoffs started today, they'd be the 4th seed, and I didn't necessarily expect that.
Yeah, I've liked what I've seen from that team. They're super young, and it's kind of nice to see Ja kind of taking that team to the next level, being the leader there. I've kind of liked seeing him work on it. It seems like he's worked on his three a little bit. I think he's shooting, I think I saw it was around 40% this year, which is kind of what everyone said he wasn't gonna really improve on was his three percentage. So I've liked to see him continue to shoot well from three and take those shots just because he's proven that he can do it.
I want to save a little bit more on Ja for our last piece, but disappointing teams for me. It's not necessarily surprising. I'm just disappointed. It's obviously the Lakers. I don't think you, myself, and Johnny, when we did the preview show, I don't think any of us liked the Russell Westbrook trade. I don't think we liked the fit there. I know in the offseason, I was hoping they were going to make a push for a guy like Buddy Hield. And it turns out the guys that they had, the Alex Carusos, the Kuzmas, the KCPs, the Harrells, like that team was good. And last year they struggled because they had a bunch of injuries. That team was favored to beat the Suns in the first round, and then they were up 2-1, and then Davis got hurt. And then they just blew the thing up. And I don't get it. And now they're stuck with Westbrook and that terrible contract. The pieces don't fit. They don't have enough. They just don't have enough shooters on that team. And they're old. They got too many old big dudes that just aren't impactful. And I don't know how they play defense against some of these teams that are good, like the Suns and the Warriors.
Yeah, it hasn't looked good. I didn't think it was going to be good, but I didn't think it was going to be this bad. Anthony Davis really hasn't.
Yeah,
I don't know what he's doing. Like
what he's doing either.
He just hasn't looked like the Anthony Davis that we know. He's taken too many threes and just not really playing defense. Like he could easily be one of the most dominant big guys in the game, but he's trying to play outside. I'm not really sure what's going on there. That's part of the issue. Obviously, spacing, not having shooters, that's another issue in its own right. But their players just haven't really played up to their capabilities. I mean, I think we saw the other night Westbrook had his first 0 turnover game in like 6 years or something. So, I mean, when that's the case, you have your point guard committing turnovers every night. You just have old guys that can't really play defense very well. It's just not a recipe for a winning team. So
No,
I'm not sure what the plan is over there, but something's got to get fixed.
I that's the thing is I don't see a way out this season. I mean, they could, there's always these minimum guys that they find like veterans, but I mean, God, I mean they pick up Avery Bradley and he retired and he's starting now. I mean, the Malik Monk thing is kind of neat. I mean, he's kind of made a nice comeback there, but now he's being counted on to score
Yeah.
15 to 20 points a game, and that's a problem. But he's not a guy that is a solid wing defender. Is he going to be guarding Devin Booker in the playoffs? No,
I hope not.
no. So the Davis thing is really interesting. He's put on probably 20 pounds of muscle, and he just doesn't look the same. Just doesn't look the same player that even when we saw in the bubble a year and a half ago. And I don't know. I don't know what's going to become of him because I agree with you. Relying too much on too many jumpers. He was a potential defensive player of the year a couple different times, and he doesn't seem to be the same player. And I wonder if it's that his body is too. I mean, he's just too heavy, playing too heavy. I don't know. Anything else on either side before we talk about the Ja Zion thing?
I've been kind of disappointed what I've seen from the Hawks. I thought they were going to be a pretty solid team, going to be a big team in the East, but they just really haven't been that team we saw in the playoffs last year that gave the 76ers
Mhm.
a good series. So I'm not really sure what the issue is over there. I know their defense isn't what it was last year, but yeah, I'm just not liking what I'm seeing from them so far. I thought they would be definitely one of the top teams in the East at this point.
Yeah, and you wonder if that was just them getting hot at the right time for a couple of weeks, a lightning in the bottle situation, maybe similar to like the 2020 Heat who got hot in the bubble. But yeah, and different expectations coming in this season as well. Though playing under expectations is a lot different than having zero expectations going into the playoffs last year. I want to end on Ja and Zion. I know you've been a Ja guy since he was at Murray State, so I know your corner here, but I'm getting some feelings of 2007 draft, and I'll age myself, and you're obviously quite a bit younger than me, but that was obviously the one of the last drafts where there was a bit of a debate for the 1-2, the top two in the draft, the Greg Oden, Kevin Durant draft. And obviously Oden went 1 and Durant went 2. And we know what's happened. Durant's probably a top 10 all-time player, maybe the most devastating offensive talent we've ever seen, at least in this generation. And Greg Oden was just mired with injuries and, became one of the biggest busts in, the last 20 years of the NBA draft. I'm not saying Zion's going there, but I'm not feeling great from what I've been seeing. Hasn't played this season. Obviously, it came out a week or two before the regular season was going to start that he had surgery on his foot. We see him sitting on the sidelines, and he's a tank. And now, I think it was just yesterday or 2 days ago, it came out that he's doing rehab off-site, not at the Pelicans facility. I don't know, man. I'm not saying this is Greg Oden 2.0, but I'm also not getting great feeling from this situation. Are you?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. He's really going down that path, and I hate to see it because I really think he could be an amazing player if he would just really take care of his body. Like it doesn't seem like he really wants to and put the effort in. He seems like he's okay with where he's at, and I don't know if he really realizes that if he just lost some weight and put on some muscle that he could be a generational type player. So I really hope he turns it around eventually because it's getting to be that point where it's going to be too late in a little bit. So I really hope he turns it around here soon because I really think the whole comparing him to Greg Oden thing that I don't think that's something that any of us want to see because he's really a generational talent if he just
Really is.
could pull his stuff together. So
came in the league probably a bit heavy, but still
Not terrible.
not terrible. But just still explosive. We've never seen anything quite like him. 6'7", probably 280 at the time. And
Yeah.
I just read that it's reported he's at 330 now.
I don't see that.
Obviously you can't play at that weight, and carrying that much weight is gonna cause injuries to your lower body,
Especially in basketball.
And it's unfortunate because when he has been on the court, like he played over 60 games last season. He averaged over 25 points a game, and just really electric to watch. But he missed a ton of games his rookie year. He hasn't played this so far this year, so I think he's played only about 80 games total over the course of 2.5, not quite 2.5 years now. And then you compare it to Ja Morant, who, we talked about earlier, is really taking his game to another level. He's a borderline top 10 guy. He's probably going to be a first or second All NBA guy this season. He's leading a really young team, and he reminds me of kind of a young Derrick Rose, to be honest with you, which is good and bad. The reckless nature that Rose played with finally caught up with him. Some of these reckless drives at the basket, and Ja's fearless. I'm just worried at some point something's going to happen. But watching him is pretty incredible because he's so slender, but his body control around the basket, around these big guys, is about as good as I've seen since Kyrie. But yeah, so credit to you. You had the vision on Ja for a while, and he's better. He's much better than I thought he would be coming into the league.
Yeah, he's honestly better than I thought he was going to be too. He's really shown that he can kind of form his game around the league and kind of do what he wants to do on the basketball court. He's kind of adapted his game to the NBA. Like I kind of, in college he wasn't known as really a shooter. He was more of the driver, explosive type point guard, but he's shown that he has the capability of shooting the three, which does kind of make me happy. Hopefully he can stop, those dangerous landings. Every time I see that, I cringe because I'm waiting for that time, that one time that it just happens. And yeah, that's kind of my biggest fear with him is he's a very explosive player that seems to play somewhat recklessly at times. So I hope he kind of gets that under control because I'd really hate to see a Derrick Rose situation with him because I think he could be a top 10 player for years to come for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I think as long as Memphis continues that organization to surround him with the right talent, he's a future MVP winner in the league. And I'm excited to see where he goes. Last thing, Jokic is better than last year. He's unbelievable. I had this discussion with our friend Collin that he hates Jokic, and I said he might be my favorite player in the league right now because he's awesome at basketball. He's all the metrics rate out that he's arguably having a better year this year without Jamal Murray, without Porter there as well this season. He's surrounded by just a lot of dudes that you don't love really, and that's all. I just want to say Jokic is actually better than his MVP season was last year.
Yeah, I actually have him number one in MVP voting right now. He's having a crazy year. Crazy. I think I saw a metric that said the Nuggets are like scoring like 24 more points per 100 possessions when he's on the floor. Like that's crazy. He's unbelievable, and he just doesn't look like he'd be a good basketball player, which is awesome.
That's my favorite part. That's my favorite part.
He's honestly becoming one of my favorite players just because he just doesn't look like he belongs out there, and he's amazing. So I really like the dude. Kind of hope he keeps it up so he can get another MVP.
And he went after the Morris brothers, which I loved as well because those guys have had it coming for that, to them for years.
For sure.
I appreciate the validation on that, so I'll make sure that he knows that we're siding together on that one. Collin, thanks for joining, talking about Week 18 NFL and talking some NBA as always, and look forward to having you back soon.
Yeah, for sure, it was a good time. I think this was the first time we talked NFL and NBA in the same pod, so
Yeah,
it was a
hybrid.
good time for sure.
It's a good hybrid pod. We'll have golf back next week, second leg of the Hawaii swing, and of course, playoff football next week. So we'll be back with your best bets. Thanks for listening once again.